Hello and welcome to this France 24 sports special covering the FIFA World Cup draw in Qatar. I'm Jean-Emile Jamin, and in the studio today with me is Eurosport journalist Ruben Slachter and OJB sensation Ojora Babatunde. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today to go over all the analysis and the results of this draw. Pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, it's been 12 years since Qatar's name was revealed in that FIFA envelope as hosts for the 2022 World Cup. And now here we sit. Just 233 days to go before the first match kicks off at the Al Khor Stadium. There's also the not so small matter of knowing who plays who come the 21st of November, and we will have all of those answers in just over an hour as the World Cup draw has got underway at the Doha Exhibition and Conference Centre. 32 teams will battle it out for football's most coveted prize, this now the 22nd edition of the World Cup. So far, 29 have been confirmed in the qualification process, with some matches still to play, and we will bring you all the permutations in just a bit. But the build-up to the World Cup has not been smooth sailing. In fact, far from it. To bring us up to speed, here's France 24's Yinka Oyetade.
The 2022 FIFA World Cup has been shrouded in controversy from the moment Qatar was awarded the tournament back in 2010. Soon after the Arab states was named as hosts, allegations of bribery were levelled at FIFA and the organisation's then president, Sepp Blatter.
If the governments will try to intervene in FIFA's organisation, then something is wrong. I think the FIFA is strong enough that we can deal with our problems.
The accusations would eventually end Blatter's 17-year tenure. He was forced to resign in 2015. Away from corruption scandals, handing the World Cup to Qatar threw up a number of logistical questions. Doha had initially proposed to hold the tournament in June, but with temperatures topping 42 degrees in the summer, fears over the safety of fans and players out on the field forced FIFA to move the competition to November. Qatar has also faced criticism over the working conditions of people building the stadiums. Last year, The Guardian reported that more than 6,500 migrant workers had died since Qatar won the right to host the World Cup. The British newspaper said the workers, mostly from India, Pakistan and Nepal, dealt with slave-like conditions on construction sites. FIFA's president insists the situation is improving.
No, we shouldn't go back, we should go look forward, and we should go look at what has happened, because all the changes that have happened in this country in terms of human rights and workers' rights and so on, human rights would not have happened, or certainly not at the same speed, without the projectors of the World Cup.
During their qualifiers, Germany, Norway and the Netherlands wore T-shirts protesting Qatar's human rights record. FIFA chose not to punish the players for the move, arguing it believed the power of football is a force for good. Criminals in Qatar still face the death penalty, and same-sex relationships are banned.
A lot to digest there. Well, we now have the pleasure of going straight live to Doha, where the draw is currently playing out, and I'm joined by France 24 special envoy Ramohan Pateria. Ramohan, please just describe the ambience there. Obviously, we've been covering a lot of the difficulties that Qatar has faced, but now we are finally at the draw stage. What is it like? What is the sense of occasion?
Well, the city is, this is the major event in the city of Doha. Hundreds of people have been walking on the red carpet towards the final draw. And the final draw should start at any minute. The convention center is full of people, full of VIPs and journalists, and including the French coach Didier Deschamps. Let me tell you that this afternoon I had a chance to visit one of the best stadium, which will take the FIFA final game there. Well, the stadium is all finished, and it is ready to welcome their visitors. The stadium has a capacity to hold over 85,000 visitors, and it has a incredible solar power cooling system to reduce the temperature up to 20 degrees. And they have also taken the measure of sandstorm. In case of any sandstorm there, they have built in such a way so not a single pinch of sand goes inside the stadium.
And of course, very important considering that it's going to be a Winter World Cup. The heat, obviously meaning that it will be played in November. But talking about those stadiums, there has been a lot of controversy leading up to this World Cup, in particular regarding the rights of workers on those stadiums. Of course, we've all been privy to that information, but how is Qatar responding to those allegations that it hasn't treated migrant workers particularly well?
Well, since the Qatar won the bid of FIFA World Cup in 2010, the Qatar has been under the spotlight of developed countries, journalists, and NGOs. And actually, Qatar has tried to do their best, but we should not forget that it's been only 66 years since Qatar has abolished their slavery law. So it takes time for them to change. And we should also not forget that since 2020, since they have abolished the kafala law, things have improved vastly. A lot of things have changed. But we should always say that there is still a few things that need to change. Yesterday, I had a chance to visit one of the camps where in a 10 square meter, 6 or 8 migrant workers are living. There's not even a single window. The condition is not the best of living there. And also the salary, the minimum wage salary is $274, which is not enough for those migrant workers because the life is expensive in the city of Qatar or in Qatar. So they spend most of their money here, and because they spend most of their money in Qatar and they have only $100 or $70 to send to their families, they are obliged to work extra. And when they are working extra, 4 hours, 5 hours extra work, this is what when things goes wrong. So there is still few space where the things have to improve. I will not say that things have completely changed, but there is a big change since 2020, since the kafala law has abolished.
Thanks so much, Ramahan. Well, we recently heard an irate Netherlands coach, Louis van Gaal, launch a tirade about his opinions on the tournament with some profanities, it must be said. This is what FIFA President Gianni Infantino had to say in response, specifically on those working conditions which Ramahan touched upon there.
So I think that the legacy in terms of human rights, workers' rights, is and has been reached already before the World Cup. It's important that it is here to stay. And it will stay. It will stay because it is enshrined in legislation and because this legislation is now being effectively enforced as well by the government. I mean, there are people who are prosecuted, there are people who go to jail, owners of companies who don't pay their workers correctly and so on and so forth. Of course, it's not paradise. Of course, it's not perfect. Of course, there is still work to be done, but we need to stay there. We need to continue. We need to work together. We need to encourage change because not everyone wants change.
Of course, FIFA also having to deal with the complexities, guys, of Russia not participating as well. So that's another thing having to juggle. Ruben, with everything that has been said and all the issues faced in the build-up, how would you, as a journalist, feel going to Qatar, fulfilling your duties there?
Well, it's really important that the journalists are going there right now because this is such an important moment already, for Qatar. And okay, let's hope that the words of Gianni Infantino will be true. I doubt it a little bit, but okay, you never know. At the same time, it's really important that the journalists are now there and that we hope, and it's not always the case, I get the impression, that they can really do their work well, that they can go to those places, that they can do the real reports, because there has been so many estimations about the number of workers' death, for example. Okay, we heard the 6,000 from the Guardian, but we also heard Gianni Infantino himself say that it was only 3 people. So that's quite a huge difference. It's really important now that the people are there. I think leaving Qatar is not an option anymore. So the tournament is there. Now just make the best out of it.
Yeah, and Ojora, do you think that with all of this being said, that there may be a problem of sports washing per se, that we are focused so much on the game, on the draw itself tonight, that we forget about all of those other issues that might be at play? That football is being used as a tool to go over all of those problems?
No, not at all. I think Infantino, like you rightly said, and like Ruben mentioned, it's good that journalists are there as journalists, we are there to report what's happening and what people are not seeing. Sometimes we only look at the positive of these things, but looking at it like what we've seen in tournaments, like what happened in Cameroon as well, journalists were on ground to report the negative sides. So it's going to see the whole world is watching, despite the fact of what has happened there. We're watching to see what our colleagues in Qatar will bring out. If what Infantino has said that, okay, this is not more of, people not getting paid or whatever. So we're waiting for journalists to see what they'll bring there. And for me, I think it's a good thing that they are even hosting this World Cup in the Middle East.
So it's all about accountability then, basically being able to witness it, bring it back home then, both on the sporting front and then on outside the stadium.
Yeah, well, that's our work, so that's really important to do it. I also want to mention just the Winter Olympics we had, where it wasn't possible in Beijing to do anything, also because of the COVID situation over there. And we've seen it also in Russia 2018, for example. But I really hope that the people who will go there get all the possibilities to have a look, to talk to the right people. And what I've seen until now was encouraging, but still not enough, I would say. It's also true that this is a young country. There's still a lot to change. So let's hope that what Gianni Infantino says is true, that football can help by making those important changes.
And speaking of the football, well, the World Cup is set to be played out with over 1 million fans expected to descend on the Gulf country, more or less the same size as Wales. And it's, of course, a gargantuan logistical task off the pitch, but on the pitch too. Now, the organisers have had to find creative ways to determine how the draw proceeds. So let's look at how it all works. There are 4 pots for the draw, based on the FIFA World Rankings. However, Qatar, as can be seen there, they're guaranteed to be in pot 1 as they are the hosts. And they will automatically be drawn into Group A. The other teams in the first pot will be the other 7th highest ranked sides. Pot 2 will then include the next 8 highest ranked sides, with pot 3 including the next 8 after that. However, pot 4 is interesting. There will be 5 places in there defined by rank. 2 of the other 3, though, will be used as a placeholder for intercontinental playoffs. And the last spot will go to the winner of the playoff between Wales and either Scotland or Ukraine, whose semi-final has been delayed by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So there's also geographical restriction on each group. Each continent can also only have 1 representative per group, aside from Europe, which can have 2 as it supplies 13 of those 32 competitors. And just a final word on that. Unlike previous World Cups, the match will be the schedules will be decided afterwards and will not happen automatically following this draw. So, guys, let's start with Pool 1 then. As we said, Qatar is automatically placed as hosts and also enters their first ever World Cup, their first FIFA World Cup. They're the only debutants. So, joining them will be 5 times champions Brazil, recently placed top of the FIFA rankings. Then it's the usurped Red Devils of Belgium, hoping to get their first ever international trophy. The reigning champions, France, they will be hoping that they can do a repeat of 4 years ago. Then Argentina, led by Lionel Messi. Well, let's see if he can finally get his hands on a World Cup. Then will it be coming home, England?
Again.
Possibly not. Obviously, very, very strong in the Euro from last year. And of course, Spain, 2010 victors, their one and only World Cup. And finally, that first pot, Portugal, with that star-studded front line, including Cristiano Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, Diogo Jota, and João Felix. So, guys, Ojara, I want to start with you. Any names stand out there as clear favourites for this tournament?
Ici, c'est Paris. It should be France. Looking at how they won the World Cup in Russia, and looking at the team, looking at Kylian Mbappe, he was a teenager then, but now he's grown to become a man, and N'Golo Kante is there as well. Pogba is there, and recently in an interview, he said whenever he played for France, it gives 110%. So I want to go with France as the clear favourite to lift this trophy in the Middle East in Qatar.
Ruben, do you agree?
Yes. Yeah, it's not a lot of fun when I agree on that one, but yeah, I agree. It's also interesting how Kylian Mbappe will react, because we remember how they went out against Switzerland in the Euros because of his missed penalty. So it's really interesting if he will now stand up of that new stature he has as the best player in the world, maybe. And with Karim Benzema coming back as well, that front line is just incredible. France is the favorite. The issue for France, of course, is will they finally play like champions? Because it has always been so defensive, waiting. Well, the last friendlies were interesting, so I hope that this will be a start of something new. We will see, but it's clear that France is, because of their individual qualities, is the main favorite.
And we'll see if those problems in the camp have well and truly sorted themselves out. Obviously, those well-documented problems from earlier in the season. Now, of course, Portugal, they came through having knocked out North Macedonia in those final qualifiers through the skin of their teeth. North Macedonia invariably actually knocked out Italy, one of the shocks of the World Cup campaign so far. Italy placed 6th in the world. I want to cross over now to our sports editor, Simon Harding, who is in Milan, in actual fact, where I want to just ask about what it meant to be knocked out at such an early stage from the Italians. They are 4-time world champions. Simon, Leonardo Bonucci, central defender for Italy, he came out now saying that basically the World Cup qualification process, it was just, he actually said, ridiculous. But now I just want to know, does he have a point? And is it something that we should look to, that Italy, the grand masters of the World Cup, did not actually make it to the tournament proper?
No, not at all. He doesn't have a point at all, because the qualification process is well defined. It's the rules are the same for everyone ahead of the tournament. The reality is that Italy threw away their qualification when they had opportunities against Northern Ireland in their final group stage matches. Against Macedonia, they shot 32 times at goal, and conceded just 4 shots. So the reality is that Italy just had a shocking passage of form after winning the Euros, and that's what makes it all the more surprising, Jean-Neil, is that Italy won the Euros with a young, youthful team. Roberto Mancini, everyone was saying that it was going to be, the start of the golden generation, perhaps, of Italian football. And if you look at the reactions following Italy's dismissal from that World Cup, you see the Gazzetta dello Sport, one of the most popular sports newspapers, said "Disastro Italia," the disaster for Italy. ANSA said "Tragedia Italiana," the Italian tragedy. So a lot of issues there for this Italian team. How are they going to respond? Bearing in mind that since Italy have won the World Cup in 2006, they went out in the group stages in 2010, they went out in the group stages in 2014, and have now failed to qualify for the last 2 World Cups. So if Italy manage to qualify for the next tournament in North America, it'll be 12 years since they featured. And as you mentioned, as 4-time winners, that's not good enough. But Italy, of course, not the only ones not to qualify for this World Cup. We know that France 24 followed massively in Africa. 3 African giants will not be in Qatar: Egypt, Nigeria, and Algeria. Of course, Egypt, who had qualified 3 times, 1934, 1990, and most recently in 2018. Carlos Queiroz has stepped down since losing that playoff against Senegal. It means that Mo Salah won't feature at the tournament. And of course, when you see the quality that Mo Salah possesses, it is very sad. But Egypt paid the price for playing very negative defensive football, and so were knocked out by a superior Senegalese team. Nigeria is the big shock. Nigeria had qualified for the last 3 editions of the World Cup, but it was the end of an era of this Nigeria. Some of the players that really led the team, like Odion Igalo, like Ahmed Musa, who were coming to the end of their career. And Nigeria now really needs to rebuild. The Nigerians who were also knocked out in the last 16 of the Africa Cup of Nations back in January, February. And of course, what to say about Algeria, the Desert Foxes, who were touted as the clear favourites to win AFCON, who then got knocked out in the group stages and then conceded a last-minute goal in extra time against Cameroon to be knocked out of that tournament. So very interesting to see, and a lot of big teams, big names missing from this World Cup. But of course, Italy will be the one that really stands out.
Thanks, Simon. Simon Harding from Milan talking about Italy. Simon, we'll be with you in just a second. Guys, we will also talk about those teams which failed to qualify. Obviously, your hometown and your home country, Ojota. So, I mean, yeah, we are missing some really impressive teams. And we will be touching on in a second just how an expanded World Cup might look now for the future. But as it is, on to Pool 2 for today's draw, starting with Mexico. Now, they qualified in their last match as second placed in the CONCACAF qualifiers. The perennial underachievers, then 2010 finalists, the Netherlands, Ruben's country, are also there. Christian Eriksen returns to the field to play for Denmark after his tragic events last year on the field in the Euros. And we'll notice that for the first time in a long time, Germany are not in the top seeds going into an international tournament. And of course, that means we could immediately see a potential group of death scenario where they are involved. Two times champions Uruguay, well, they also, the first ever World Cup hosts in 1930 are also there. The Swiss will hope to build on their brilliant Euro 2020 run where they knocked out France. And then it's the up-and-coming USA team full of star-studded players, young guys like Christian Pulisic, Serginho Dest, these guys, Gio Reyna, even Borussia Dortmund. Guys, these are quality players for the USA. So very interesting to see how they can come through. And then finally, last but not least, 2018 finalists Croatia. So we don't know what they're going to do with an aging squad. Luka Modric, Mario Mandzukic is already out. Ivan Rakitic also, that midfield fulcrum. Any teams here, I'll start with you, Ruben. Any teams here that you feel the top place teams in pot 1 will not be wanting to face?
Yeah, Germany, and well, I'm biased, but I would say the Dutch as well. I think that there's something interesting going on in the Netherlands right now with all those, especially good defenders. Louis van Gaal is building a team. He still has now 9 months. It's getting better and better and better. I think the Dutch, well, you can't call them the dark horses, but they have a real card to play. I think that those two teams, they don't want to play. Probably Denmark or Croatia would be an easier pick. Uruguay is an interesting team, in fact, because they were really bad. They switched the manager, and since then they have become quite interesting to watch. So I'm also looking forward to see how
we saw that Luis Suarez bicycle kick in the final qualifier. Yeah. I mean, they're finally finding that flair again.
And Valverde, it's a fantastic player. So yeah, Uruguay, why not? Mexico were impressive in the group stages in Russia, so maybe they can build on that. And you talked about the USA, so there's a lot of interesting teams in this second pot.
Speaking of the USA, Jordan, I saw you nodding your head there, just in terms of that fresh, now youthful look. They really could take world football to the next level, at least themselves. Are you excited? I mean, is that a standout name for you in terms of that seeding?
Yes, I'm looking at USA and Mexico. They will be co-hosting with Canada the next World Cup in the real world, like 48 teams. So the team, they're doing well. Pulisic and Dest in Barcelona has been something else. Oh my God. I'll go with, I'm a Chelsea fan, so Pulisic, there's a name we call him in Nigeria, we say the Golden Boy. So I see him leading this team, probably cause some damage with the pot 1 teams, and maybe they'll probably go all the way to the finals, who knows.
So USA, a team to avoid then?
They are. For me, I will go USA, then maybe Germany after USA.
Do you think Germany still has that cohesion that we saw, at least in the 2014 World Cup? Obviously, they lost it. And Joachim Löw, he's gone out now. We've got a brilliant coaching setup now, which has just emerged through Hansi Flick. But do you think Germany can now reach those same heights as 2014?
It will be difficult for Germany to replicate that, considering what they are going through. Hansi Flick is doing a great job, but looking at some of their games, they lost to North Macedonia, and you will see that they're still trying to get their feet, and it will be difficult for them because now everything is normal. Like we've got the underdogs. Everybody's there to win the game. So I think it will be difficult for Germany to replicate what they did in 2014.
Precisely there, North Macedonia absolutely taking some names along the way to the qualification process. It's almost a pity, well, it really is a pity that we don't get to see them this time out, but certainly they'll come out with their heads held high. Well, then we have pot 3 and 4. So could this be the chance for Africa? As the Lions of Teranga, Senegal, fresh off their AFCON title triumph and knocking out Egypt in the qualifier, well, they start the list. Next come Iran, who had a very strong qualifying campaign in the Asian groups. Japan, too, enter their 7th World Cup in a row since 1998. Morocco next, the Maghreb nation hoping Achraf Hakimi can work some magic from right back. Then Serbia, they're led by Alexander Mitrovic. Poland by the mercurial Robert Lewandowski. And South Korea with star man Heung-min Song. And finally, Tunisia complete pot 3 after dispatching of Mali. Ruben, some individuals there leading the lines for their country. I don't know if you can say that they are teams which can progress all the way, but certainly they've got that one person, that one player that can make the difference in the game.
Yeah, and Senegal is the team nobody wants to play. That's for sure. Senegal is by far the best team in this spot, in my opinion. So I think that every team. I think that when you are a team in pot 2, for example, pot 1 is not that important. It's really important to not play Senegal from pot 3 because that's the team you don't want to play. There are some other interesting teams. Serbia they won their group in front of Portugal. And they have a really interesting generation, so I'm always looking forward to see them. And from the others, yeah, Japan is always they were sensational in the last World Cup, really good football, so that will be interesting to follow. I think that if you're like I say, a team from pot 2 or pot 1, yeah, you would probably want to play Iran or Tunisia from this spot.
You agree? I mean, Senegal really are flying. We don't actually know what they're capable of with this golden generation, which is finally achieved under Aliou Cisse. As someone who follows African football intensely, what can we expect?
Senegal got to the quarterfinals in 2002, and looking at this team, Aliou Cisse, like you rightly said, has done great thing with this team. He was the captain. He was the captain of the Senegalese national team, and now he has gone as far as winning the trophy for them for the first time. I was at the presser when Sadio Mane said Aliou Cisse is the most criticized coach, but he has achieved a lot. Looking at how he has assembled this team, they've got players from Division 2, Division 3 here in France. A Parisian player that plays in the League 2, he managed to bring all these guys together and get the best out of them. They knew what was at stake, and they went all the way, to hurt Egypt to pick this ticket. So I think, like Ruben rightly said, every team in pot 1 should be worried and scared. Like Senegal is going to hurt them. The Teranga Lions are coming to really roll at them.
So imagine a pot then. We could possibly get France, Germany, Senegal. This is, something that I think would
then we have
That's
really
why we love football.
we hope. But at the same time, also Senegal has to speak out about it. Come on, this is their golden generation. They have to go through. Okay, we'll see who they will play. But this is such a good team. So many individual qualities. We have seen good football from them in the African Cup of Nations. But you also still had the idea that they can do better. They can still do better. I'm really excited to see them and hopefully get out of the groups because they can be that African team that can go really, really far into the World Cup.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of African teams in that pot 3. Simon, I want to come back to you. You went to you went to Cameroon rather, and witnessed the entire tournament. Obviously, now we've got Morocco, Tunisia, and Senegal in that pot 3. What are the African chances of making it far this time around?
Well, I have to agree with the other gentleman that Senegal is by far the team to watch out for in this tournament. Aliou Cisse has really drilled a potent team with some class players. Some of the best players are currently available in almost every position. You think of Mendy in goal, Koulibaly at the back, Sadio Mane, of course, goes without saying. You have Boulaye Dia, who plays for Villarreal in Spain as well. Perhaps the one thing that is missing for that Senegalese team is an out-and-out striker to really solidify the rest of the squad. But as Ruben said, and I must agree, Senegal need to up their game. They need to learn to put away opposition. For example, in their last World Cup qualifier against Egypt, we were at the game, France 24 were at the game, and there were too many times when Senegal wasted chances. And in a World Cup with so much at stake, that is when you're going to pay those chances. In terms of the rest of the African teams there, Morocco are going through a rebuilding period. Tough to say, just with Achraf Hakimi, is it going to be enough? I don't think so. Tunisia also don't have the strength and depth in their squad. I think it's going to be a very difficult tournament for Tunisia. I think African football in general has a lot to prove to itself. No team qualified for the knockout phases in Russia in 2018. Senegal were the ones who came closest. So this time around, it is going to be crucial that an African team does make it out of the group stages, particularly with CAF President Patrice Motsepe wanting an African team to win the World Cup in the coming years, in the coming editions, and really trying to push forward the African football agenda globally. Now, of course, that only comes if there is success on the international stage. So it is interesting to see, but apart from Senegal, I don't see much threat from the African nations going into Qatar.
That's a very good point, Simon, you made there about the African teams not succeeding in the last World Cup. Of course, we remember in 2010, all the way back then, Ghana just missing out on that semi-final spot, losing out with that tragic penalty to, missing out on that penalty. Asamoah Gyan blazing over the bar. I myself was actually right behind that goal when that happened. Obviously, we want those smaller teams, not with all due respect, the teams who have not traditionally gone on to do well in the tournament. We want them to really shine. So what is it going to take just for, I guess, to see an underdog perform?
Quickly, I need to add this to what the gentleman said. I think an African team is ripe for the quarterfinals. Looking at how Cameroon got to the quarterfinals in the 1990, and also after Senegal, then we've got Ghana, like you rightly said. So I think Senegal is the team to just go to the quarterfinals, and we should watch out for them. So now, speaking about the underdogs, Japan could, looking at what how they qualified in the playoffs. So I think Japan will definitely do something, and also maybe South Korea. I'm looking at an Asian team to cause maybe something like a surprise in the
have a bit of a replay of the 2002 semi-finals when South Korea did so well. Let's see if they can have that team cohesion, not rely too much on Hyun Song.
That, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely possible. You would also like to see a new team come through, I'm sure.
You always want to see them. And of course, there are possibilities. I mean, Qatar is in pot 1. I think that all the teams in pot 3 and 4 want to play them, because that's a real opportunity. And like we said already, pot 2, there's also some teams. I think that when Japan will play Croatia or Denmark, for example, they won't feel that they are the complete underdogs in those matches. So there are possibilities. It's also now we have seen it in all the World Cups. There's always that one upset we all want to follow. So yeah, why not an Asian team? Could be as well. If you look purely at the qualities they have, for me, it's still Senegal out of this pot who can do the best. But it's also depending a little bit of the groups we're going to see.
Well, we certainly can't wait to see what could be done. And now it comes to the last pot. We see recent AFCON hosts Cameroon, who scraped into the World Cup through a final minute stunner by Kaltoko Ekambi against Algeria. Canada then, their first World Cup in an astonishing 36 years. Ecuador also had a brilliant South American qualifying campaign, finishing ahead of the likes of Colombia and Chile. Saudi Arabia then stunningly topped their Asia group. And finally, Ghana, the Black Stars, rising from the ashes of obscurity from the AFCON and, unfortunately, sending Nigeria crashing out in their qualifier. I mean, a lot of teams there. We will touch on those other three there in blue. I just wanted you to quickly take me through those emotions of missing out on that World Cup place.
You know, as a journalist, I've got nothing against Ghana, but as a Nigerian, oh no, I'm still hot, man. Saying Ghana come out of the Jollof Derby, it's nothing any Nigerian could imagine. And looking at how Ghana, we eliminated at the Nations Cup. I was there when Comoros, against all odds, did the magic against Ghana. And how they fired their coaching crew, you would have thought, okay, this should be an easy ride for Nigeria. We've got Victor Osimhen, we've got Moses Simon, we've got Leon Balogun, who is scoring day in, day out for Rangers. We've got Calvin Bassey, Ademola Lookman from Leicester City as well. So looking at these names, you will want to believe, okay, this should be a one-way ride for Nigeria. But no, kudos to Ghana for putting up that show, and kudos to the FA and the Sport Ministry. Although there were tussles between the Sport Ministry and the Ghana Football Association. The Ghana Football Association wanted Otto Addo, who was a scout in Dortmund, and the Sport Ministry said, I beg your pardon, said, no, we want Chris Hughton. And they agreed, and said, okay, bring these guys together. And these guys managed to get them the tickets to the World Cup against all odds. So kudos to them.
It's amazing what a change in coaching staff can do. Well, I mean, we're going to go back just quickly to that pot 4 because it's still up in the air with whether some teams will in fact be playing in the World Cup or not, from Europe, from Asia, from South America, and even Australia, New Zealand, and North America. So let's just describe this quickly. With the European spot, that is Scotland and Ukraine. Their match has been delayed because of the war. The winner of that game then faces off against Wales for a place in the World Cup from the European draw. Then we'll also notice all of those qualifiers still to play, with Australia and the UAE finishing third respectively in the Asia qualifiers. So then they play against each other. And the winner of that game has to face off Peru, who, as the 5th placed South American team, will then basically face off against them. And the winner of that team will come through. And the final intercontinental playoff sees 4th placed CONCACAF team, Costa Rica, square off against New Zealand from Oceania for a chance at glory. So a lot of different permutations there. So, well, with every World Cup in living memory, it has served up some very interesting qualifiers, it has to be said. This is the first time in history, though, that it will be just the host nation in Qatar, as mentioned, who will be the debutants. Several huge names we said were missing out, as we spoke to Simon there with that shock in Italy. Ojora, I want to just talk about a possibility now. With the 48 teams which has been now proposed and approved by FIFA in the 2026 World Cup now. How is that going to basically help teams who just didn't make it, like your own Nigeria? And are you pro or against, I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit here, but the expansion of the World Cup, is it something that has been a long time coming, especially for representation of the likes of African and Asian teams?
I'm against it. No, sorry, I'm for it because looking at how the likes of Nigeria, Egypt, and Nigeria, Egypt, Mali missed out. You would want to ask yourself, okay, are we sure? No disrespect to the teams that are representing Africa right now. They are the best 5 teams, but we've got more. The chances of winning the World Cup would have been more having the likes of Nigeria, Ghana, up to 9-10 teams. So Nigeria missing out is a big plus. Egypt missing out is not a good one as well. So with these teams missing out, Algeria as well. So with now expanding it to 48, you're certain that the likes of Nigeria, Algeria will get back. And Nigeria will won hearts of football fans and the first time USA 94. So we'll definitely want to go back there, and maybe we'll be the first African country to lift the World Cup and the States.
And Ruben, just a very quick word. Are you open to an expansion?
Well, there's no choice, but I'm against it, to be honest. I think it's important to have more African teams, but it's also time, like we already said before, for the African teams to deserve it. If Senegal will qualify for a quarterfinal or semi, or you never know, that would help a lot also for getting more teams in. It's crazy that out of so many good African teams, there are only 5 getting through compared to, for example, Europe. But it's for me, it's more in getting a better balance between them. We've seen with the Euros and with the African Cup of Nations, and especially with the setup of 24 teams there, that you get a lot of group matches with the big teams just warming up. I think that 32 is the best number. I think it should be divided better, that's for sure.
I'm just going to have to cut you quickly short there because we have our first groups and our first teams basically placed in that group. Group A, we see Qatar, the hosts. Group B, England, 1966 champions. Argentina then in Group C. That's Diego Maradona's former team. France, the former champions, the last champions rather, 2018. They're in Group D. Group E, Spain. Group F is Belgium, the perennial underachievers. As I said, maybe the golden generation can come through here. Group G then is Brazil, 5-time champions led by Neymar. And Group H, Portugal, then rounding up that pot one. So once again, Group A, Qatar. Group B, England. Group C, Argentina. Group D, France. Group E, Spain. Group F, Belgium. Group G, Brazil. And Group H, Portugal. The pot 2 now is well underway, guys. What are we hoping for here? A little bit of a Qatar matchup with Germany, or do we want to see Germany? Oh, here we go.
There the Dutch are already.
There the Dutch are already. So the Dutch have been drawn out in pot 2. It's going to be a fascinating scene to see where they end up. Of course, the Dutch, as we said, 2010 finalists. They have now been, well, the draw is about to take place.
Group A. It's already in. They're already with Qatar.
They're already with Qatar there. That is all confirmed.
Yeah.
That is confirmed. They are joining Qatar in Group A. So Netherlands and Qatar. Then in Group A, it's going to be an interesting one. Of course, Louis van Gaal, the Dutch coach, well, he will be quietly confident that his team can possibly even top that group. Ruben, do you?
Yeah, well, it's. I mean, he has said a lot about Qatar recently, so I don't know if they will be really happy to see Louis van Gaal in their group.
Yeah.
I think that everyone from pot 2 was willing to play Qatar. At the same time, we don't know that much about it, and playing the home team is not that easy. As a Dutchman, I'm really happy we're not playing Portugal. All the others were okay.
We remember all those matches with all the red cards in previous World Cups.
And all the losses.
All the losses
as well, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, Ojona. Well, USA, the team we were talking about, they've just been drawn. We'll see what pot. Well, they go into pot B with England. And we take our eyes back to 2010 when the two teams met. And USA pulled off a shock 1-1 draw with the British. I mean, obviously, if you're a Three Lions fan, you'll be hoping that the same won't be repeating. So England and the USA, a very, very interesting matchup between two young teams.
Yes, I agree. And Gareth Southgate is doing wonders with the English team. Unfortunately for them, he didn't come home. He went home. So it would be nice to see what both teams will come up with. Tipping USA to probably pull up a surprise and maybe get a draw, or maybe go as well and get the maximum 3 points against England.
Very, very interesting to see the results there. Now, Mexico have just been drawn into Group C. Yeah. Oh, that is curious, because now that means they are with Argentina.
And we've seen it a lot of times.
Oh, and we have seen that. We remember Maxi Rodriguez's wonder goal for Argentina, knocking them out. Unfortunately, Mexico have been on the receiving end of quite a few knockouts to Argentina. Carlos Tevez with another screamer in 2010 recently.
And also the almost 5-meter offside goal again in that same match of Carlos Tevez. But yeah, well, I think that's...
there's a reason VAR has come in recently, is there not?
Yes, I think that the Mexicans are happy to take a revenge in that one.
So a very interesting one there, Ojora. Argentina, Mexico.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Argentina with Lionel Messi. I think it's going to be Argentina all the way against Mexico.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. Messi's...
you'd stake your reputation on that.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, Mexico did come second in their CONCACAF group, so did Argentina, but obviously as the winners of the Copa America, Argentina will be quite confident. Yeah. So then now Denmark, they are with France.
Yeah, well, I mean, Didier Deschamps has some record with lucky draws. So, but okay,
you call this lucky?
we shouldn't be too with all the respect for Denmark, of course, but I think that he won't be that disappointed.
I mean, bearing in mind, they did get knocked out to Switzerland, who were also unfancied in the Euros, and the cohesion that Denmark gained around Christian Eriksen's collapse on the field. You can't take that out of the equation. Simon Kjær as captain.
And a fantastic qualifying record as well, because they won, I think, 9 out of the 10 matches. So, yeah, Denmark is a strong team, but probably not the strongest out of the... I think, well, if you can choose between Denmark or Germany, you take Denmark. At the same time, yeah, it is true. I mean, it's an interesting matchup again.
Speaking of the Germans, Jora,
With Spain.
they are with Spain.
Oh, with
they
Spain.
are with
Oh.
Spain.
This is going to be interesting. Both teams are younger. They're still trying to get the balance, so it's going to be an interesting one. I'm looking at Germany to do this against Spain again.
A very, very fascinating one.
Yeah.
Again, remind us how the last one went.
No, they don't want to. They don't want to think about that right now. No.
Ruben, I mean, we know that the Spain team is evolving. It is still a fresh team, and the German team, for that matter of fact, it's a new team as well. A very, very fascinating one, possibly a group of death on the way there. Well, now we have Switzerland, and they are going to be drawn with their neighbours, not neighbours quite. Sorry, my geography is a bit off there, but they are going to be drawn with Belgium. A very, very curious matchup in styles. I think Belgium, we want to see if they can produce what we always hoped they would. Could Switzerland pip them to the top of the group?
I think so, yeah. We'll see how Belgium goes, but there's a lot of criticism on Roberto Martinez recently there. It's also like the golden generation is a little bit done, I would say. I think that they had their moment in 2018 especially. And Switzerland won the group in front of Italy. And we've seen them during the Euros. That was really interesting what they've shown. And it's only getting better. So I would say that Switzerland is getting better and Belgium maybe a little bit worse. Still the favorites, but Switzerland could cause an upset.
Very interesting draw there. Ojora, we've now just seen...
Oh, sorry, and they changed it.
Croatia. Oh, they have changed it. Oh,
I thought it was... Okay.
They've changed it now.
It's Belgium, Croatia.
They have changed it. It will now actually be... we will just wait on the results of this one. We were hoping to see a little bit of a Belgium-Swiss flair, but it looks like it is actually Uruguay now with Belgium. So
No, it's Croatia.
It is Croatia.
Croatia.
It is Croatia.
And it will be Portugal with Uruguay.
Okay.
Because you can't play Brazil. And
Uruguay, guys. South American teams there. Uruguay with Brazil. Is that correct?
No, it's not possible. They have
that
to
is
play
not possible.
Portugal.
They have to be on different pots. So Portugal will have Uruguay in that pot. Apologies for the confusion there. It seems like all of these permutations, as we mentioned, they are coming into play now because of what teams are left available. So those in the same continent, except for Europe, cannot be drawn in the same pot. So once again, they are just filling out those draws there. So it is Uruguay, and they are with Portugal. A very fascinating matchup, Ojora, with those lineups in terms of the attack.
Yeah, in terms of the attack. But I'm looking at how Portugal, they had to do that last one with North Macedonia to qualify for this World Cup. So I don't think they're strong enough to pull a surprise against Uruguay. I'm going with Uruguay all the way for this.
There's also some rematches, because Uruguay knocked out Portugal in 2018. Brazil and Switzerland were in the same group in 2018, and France and Denmark as well. So there's a lot of teams meeting again.
Absolutely, and now finally Switzerland gets drawn, and they are playing with Brazil again.
Yeah. Well, okay, we can say it again. Maybe it's also interesting to say a small word about Croatia, because they will play against Belgium. Well, we said it, I think, with Belgium and Croatia, it's two semi-finalists, even a finalist of 2018. So you would say a group of death. But at the same time, yeah, it's not the two teams that were performing that well recently.
It's not, but at least they will be matched up very equally when they play each other. I mean, we remember that Croatia team, very dominant. They knocked out Brazil 3-0, was it, in the last World Cup. So
they lost to France in the final.
So they have a taste of what it means to be successful. So a very, very interesting pot two there with those draws now underway. Again, Belgium, Croatia, Switzerland and Brazil, and Portugal and Uruguay. So a very fascinating one. Well, pot three is already underway. Let's get those results for you now. Iran.
With the USA, yeah?
With the USA.
Because they can't play against Qatar. So we'll get USA-Iran again after the 98 match, which was historically and also really, a lot of tension around it. But that's, that will be some kind of...
We're not going to mention any geopolitical tensions here. This is all what we leave out on the pitch for these teams. So, Iran with the USA and England. A very, very fascinating draw there. And obviously, the Iranian team, they pose a threat, we have to say.
especially defensively, they're always really hard to beat. We've seen it in the last World Cup against Portugal, and they won a match against Morocco. So it's a hard team to play. At the same time, like we said before, it's not Senegal. So I think that both USA and England won't be that disappointed.
They will be banking on their chances. I'm assuming the next ball to be drawn, and we are seeing the name coming out here, and that is Senegal.
There we go.
The Lions of Teranga. Gentlemen, let's wait and see. This is going to be a very, very interesting group.
A, right?
Yeah. So, that's what we said. I mean, now they play against Qatar. This is a real opportunity now, I think.
100%, guys. Now, just a reminder that the only host nation to ever not make it through the group stages previously was my own South Africa. It will be a very tall order for Qatar now to beat the likes of Senegal and the Netherlands. Do you back Senegal to even possibly top the group ahead of Netherlands?
Yeah, it's possible. Like I said, another African team is ripe for the quarterfinals. I see Senegal going all the way, and being in a group with Qatar and Netherlands, I see them coming top of the group.
That's a real opportunity for them. I think that the Netherlands-Senegal will also be a really, really interesting match.
Oh, absolutely intriguing. Yeah, absolutely. With the pace of Senegal, of course, Louis van Gaal traditionally playing 5 at the back. So can Senegal unlock that defense without that recognized striker that Simon mentioned? We will have to wait and see. The next name coming out there is Poland. Now, guys, we remember Poland. They only just qualified, beating Sweden 2-0 in those European qualifiers. They've got star striker Robert Lewandowski in their attack. Let's see if they have enough to get through their group, though, if it doesn't quite work out up top for Robert himself.
When you talk about underperformance, Poland is one of them. So it will be interesting because, Mexico and Argentina, it's not the hardest group, I think. They won't be that disappointed. And you should also say they knocked out Sweden, which is not something really... that was some surprise at the same time, because Sweden was quarterfinalist in Russia. So, we'll see. I think it's really important for them. If Robert Lewandowski can stand up and do what he does best, they have a chance. At the same time, it's now for a long time that we've been saying that for Poland. So maybe this is their time.
But against Argentina and Mexico, Poland is going to face an uphill task. Nonetheless, it's the World Cup. Anything can happen. The next team which has been drawn out now is Serbia. We remember those stunning teams of the Serbian past. We had Nemanja Vidic, Aleksandar Kolarov. We now have Aleksandar Mitrovic leading the line. We had Dusan Tadic, am I correct?
Yeah.
Yes. We had Miralem Pjanic from Juventus and then to Barcelona. So a strong Serbian team. Sorry, Pjanic actually with Bosnia.
Yes,
my apologies.
It's more Dusan Vlahovic you're looking for.
Vlahovic, yes.
They go in the same group as the last time. Brazil, Switzerland and Serbia were in the same group.
All three in the same group.
So if we still get Costa Rica, it will be exactly
a
the same
repeat
group.
of the last one, yeah.
That would be an absolutely fascinating thing. You kind of wonder if it is scripted in the stars. But maybe Serbia can pip Switzerland this time. Brazil obviously they are ranked first in the world, so getting past that Brazilian outfit, especially now they do have a very strong rear guard, goalkeeper and defense. It's going to be tough for Serbia, but they'll be keeping their eyes on Switzerland. Next team out there then is Tunisia, coming through in their African qualifiers. It's going to be a tasty one, I think we have to say, against Spain.
No, it's with France.
Against France. Apologies.
Oh, okay.
France and Denmark there. So France, Tunisia,
Ruben was
and
right.
Denmark. Ruben.
Lucky Deschamps. It's not. I think they will be really happy with this Didier Deschamps. Yeah, it's not the worst for them.
You still think that is the easiest draw that they could have hoped for?
I think it's in terms of quality what we've seen from now, because you shouldn't underestimate Serbia and Switzerland and Brazil. I think it's let's call it the hidden group of them, because there's a lot of quality in those teams. But Tunisia and Denmark and France, that's not bad for the French.
This is a very interesting point now. So they won't be facing as Ruben points out, a team of very high quality early on. Is that a problem when they ultimately do face someone that they haven't had that matchup yet to test themselves?
Not really. Looking at how the World Cup or tournaments usually pan out, you see teams gradually grow into the tournament. And I think that's what maybe France will come up with. It will be interesting to see them go against Tunisia and the Strait of Paris. You know how we've got a lot of Tunisians here. So it will be interesting to see how that pan out. But irrespective of what the outcome may be in the group stage, I think France will definitely grow into the tournament and do what they're capable of doing.
But what is going to be difficult is the match for Japan. Well, they've now been drawn in Group E with Spain and with Germany. So Japan, hold on to your horses. The Samurais, will they manage to get through? It's a very, very tough ask. But once again, the reason we love football is that anyone can beat anyone. So that's Japan in Group E. Morocco has just been drawn in Group F.
F with Belgium and Croatia, and I think that's an interesting one for them. I think they will be they will be satisfied with it. It's we were talking about Morocco building up a lot of issues with their head coach, players who don't want to play. Yeah. If you look at the potential Morocco has, it's huge. I would love to add them as one of the African favorites, but if you see the issues they've had recently, it will be hard for them. But playing Croatia and Belgium, I think that they will fancy a chance or of a surprise there. Yeah,
it will be very interesting to see how far those Asian teams go. Now, South Korea has just come out of the pot, and they have been drawn. Yes, well, South Korea is the last one available in that pot 3. So that means they are with Portugal and Uruguay. Another very tough fixture, but with the cohesion of that South Korean team, possibly there is something in it, especially if you're looking at the weaknesses in the other team's defenses. Uruguay has actually managed to shore up somewhat, but Portugal, with all the glory that they have up top,
going forward,
sometimes at the back they can be found wanting.
They can, but sometimes looking at how Pep Guardiola has always played and with his philosophy, the more you attack, the less you expose your defense. So I see Portugal going all the way out and not giving Korea a chance to come, to the back third or leave their half and come and do the damage. So I think Portugal will go all the way and get a win against Korea and maybe go ahead and top the group, because Uruguay, I don't think Uruguay possesses any threat against them.
A very, very interesting matchup there. So the pool pot 3 is all completed. We are about to get underway with pot 4. Group A, reminder, Qatar, Senegal, Netherlands. Group B, England, USA, and that is Iran. Group C, Argentina, Mexico, and Poland. Group D, France, Denmark, Tunisia. Group E, that is Spain, Germany, and Japan. And Group F, that we go Belgium, Morocco, and we will just have those results for you now. The first name out of pot 4 has been drawn, and this is going to be the first playoff. This is the first intercontinental playoff, guys. Let me just remind you.
Yeah, I'm just asking myself. I'm really sorry, but I'm not sure if this is the intercontinental playoff between Peru and the Asian team, or will it be? I think so, because otherwise they could have been in the group with Qatar and the Netherlands, and they will be drawn with France. So I think that this will be Peru or
Australia or UAE.
UAE, yeah, there you go. And it's also there again, almost the same group as in 2018, because if it will be Peru and Denmark and France were together, then with Australia, but now it will be then with Tunisia. But so it's almost the same group, yeah.
Well, now we do know which team has come out there. That is Ecuador, the South Americans, coming in 4th in their qualifiers, and third. Apologies. And they will now be drawn. We are waiting for that group. Ecuador showing very good form to come out of those qualifiers. They are in Group A with Qatar and the Netherlands and Senegal.
So that will be the opening match, will be Qatar against Ecuador. I think that if you look, I'm saying it again from a Dutch point of view, but the teams they got from the pot 3 and 4 are probably almost the strongest. So that's not really lucky, because Ecuador getting third in the South American qualifiers, which is crazy. I mean, all those good teams over there. Knocking out Colombia, Chile, for example. That's a team. We should. We should maybe
Keep an eye on, but
keep
we
an eye on,
still
yeah.
think that Senegal and Netherlands might have enough to take it through.
They're the favorites in this group.
Favorites in this
Yeah,
group.
that's
Yeah.
for sure. And they will play the first match against each other, so then
Yeah.
we will know it straight away.
100%. Well, Saudi Arabia, the Gulf nation, they looked quite good for their buck when Russia 2018 came around. They are now they've just been drawn, and they should go then into Group B.
No, C.
because
C.
we've got Iran.
That is with Argentina, Mexico, and Poland. So that's Saudi Arabia with Argentina, Mexico, and Poland. No history there between the teams, as far as I'm aware, with Saudi Arabia and Argentina, Mexico, and Poland. They were not in the same group in 2018.
No, that's for sure. I'm not sure about all the World Cups, but it will be a long time ago that they've played each other. I think that especially Poland will fancy a chance in this group.
A very strong chance. Of course, Argentina still probably licking their lips at getting through in that Group C encounter. Then the next playoff game is going to be drawn. That is the next intercontinental playoff between Costa Rica and New Zealand. We think at this stage. So they have the option. And we do have to verify this if they can be drawn in a group with an American qualifier or Oceania only has one country. So that is in Group E with Spain and Germany and Japan.
Yeah, because Costa Rica can't play the USA, of course.
There we go.
Yeah.
So Costa Rica, New Zealand, possibly with Spain, Germany, or Japan. Another very tough fixture. Guys, I can't say that I yet see a group of death which screams out at me. I think
we're just waiting Canada to get into with Brazil, and then we have the hardest group.
Can see. So here is the Canadians, as far as I can tell. Canada's name. No, this is the final European playoff. So, guys, one of Wales, Ukraine, or Scotland.
And they will be in a group with England, so it's 2 out of 3 that we will get a classic UK match.
Yeah.
I mean, for a lot of people, it's already crazy that we're talking about Ukraine playing in the World Cup.
Of course.
Everything what is going on. But okay, we're here also to talk about the football, I'm afraid. So I think out of those 3, I'm most excited to see Scotland if you purely talk about football. And Scotland-England is always a big match. But yeah, it remains to be seen. But all those 3 teams, they in a group with USA, Iran, and England, it's not the worst.
It's not the worst, certainly from a viewing perspective. Ojara, we're gonna take a look here now at I think Canada is coming up. So that is Cameroon. Our men from Douala.
Rigobert Song. Oh, and there he is.
There we go. Rigobert Song. Cameroon coach, the former captain himself, looking on. What a great victory it was against Algeria in that final minute. Absolute scenes, which, by the way, Algeria are protesting with FIFA according to the referee decisions that were made on the day. But at this point in time, Cameroon are taking their place in the draw within Group G. That is a very, very fun group to watch. That is with Brazil. That is with Switzerland.
And Serbia, That's a big one.
Yeah. That's a big one.
And I dare say that Cameroon could actually get through.
I don't agree, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll come back in the winter, and we can see if you were right. But I think that Cameroon, out of those 4 teams, is the underdog. But at the same time, they went to Algeria as the underdogs, and they did it. So maybe Rigobert Song, he has 9 months to prepare his team. He just arrived, so if he can manage to really make a team out of those players, they can cause an upset. That's true.
Absolutely. Just apologies there for that graphic. England just repeated twice. That other team, though, with England will be the winner of the European place playoff with Wales, Ukraine and Scotland. While the final team there now coming through, Ghana, the African nation, the Black Stars, taking the place of Ojora's Nigeria. Ultimately, they find themselves in Group H with Portugal,
wow.
and Uruguay.
Wow.
Two very, very strong
teams.
And by the way, Ghana, Uruguay.
Yeah, again.
It's happening again, yeah.
It's happening again. Is there a bit of a chance at redemption? Is there a bit of a chance at a retaliation from all those years ago? Or do you even think that it will enter into the players' minds?
From a source, not confirmed, I was told before they played against Nigeria, they showed them, the Ghanaian teams, they showed them the tape of the match they lost to Uruguay, telling them what it means to go all out there and get the win, get the result against Nigeria, and that was what they did. So I'm sure if my source, from what I heard, if they, with this happening, it's going to be, wow, okay, we've been motivated and we've seen what it means to miss out, just on penalty, the one their captain lost there. And so everything will be at stake here. Redemption, everything will be at stake. And Otto Addo has got 7, 8 or 9 months to prepare his team. It will be a good one, and I'm definitely rooting for them now, looking at what happened against Uruguay. I mean, every African now will be at the back of Ghana.
I'm going to have to just quickly interject there now and just say that Canada was also drawn in that time, and they are going to be playing Belgium and Switzerland.
Belgium and Croatia and Morocco. Yeah, that's a really interesting.
Belgium, Morocco, and Croatia with Canada. So, is that your group of death? Is that what you're going to go for?
For me, there is not a real group of death.
It's not really like we were actually expecting, which is very interesting considering the way that the pots were displayed. So, there we have it. The draw is done, and there we go with those teams there. Qatar, host nation, coming out in Group A with the rest, the Ecuador and Senegal, and just so many great games to look forward to, and we can't wait to bring you all of those matches, guys, as they come. I'm sorry I'm having to cut things short here and not bring the full draw, but just if you're going to put your money on a winner, both of you guys, I want just a quick word.
Well, the winner, I think we will agree that will be France. But maybe let's say an outsider. If we, it's for the first time in my life that I see the Dutch as an outsider and that we can really do something. It's also the first time that I really believe it. So yeah, that could be a really interesting outsider. And well, we've said it so many times, but Senegal, and especially after this draw, could be also a real outsider in this tournament.
For me, I think France, like he said, and I'm sure he mentioned Netherlands because he's a Dutchman. So I'll go with Germany maybe, and maybe Senegal, like you rightly said. I'll go with Senegal and Germany to do something and cause a spark in this World Cup.
Imagine a Germany-Senegal final. Wouldn't that be just what we all crave, except for the Netherlands, of course?
We don't. We have no preference here, but I think that especially for African football, this we said it a lot of times tonight, but it would be so important to have Senegal far in the tournament.
Absolutely. Guys, I just want to thank you. It's been a tremendous draw, very fascinating matchups to look forward to come November time. Of course, there's still a lot to sort out for the host nation in Qatar. Thank you also to Simon Harding, who joined us from Milan. And we want to just finish with basic thank you to you. That's all for tonight. It's been an absolute thrill to have you all with us. That's the draw again. Once more, those fantastic playoffs to look forward to as we bring you the World Cup in Qatar in 2022. That's all from me for now. It's been great having you along with us. It's bye for now.